real nerdy headlamp that I would use. Hello, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Amanda and this is Birch and Lily, where I talk about all of the crafty goodness that I've been up to over the past couple weeks. We have hit December. It's December 5th and I have a lot of finished gifts to show you, some fun new cast-ons. I've started my Christmas, hopefully, sweater. And yeah, I think it's going to be a really fun episode full of some wonderful knitting. As I still have not jumped into cross stitch again. So if you were here for that, I'm so sorry. I'm hoping over the Christmas break, I'm gonna bring a couple projects with me and I'm hoping I'll kind of get back into the mood. But for now, I have a episode full of knitting to show you. So before we get started, there are a couple places you can find me on the internet. The main one is birchandlilyfiber.com. I sell all of my hand-dyed yarn there. And as well, you can find me on Instagram at birch.and.lily. And I do have a Patreon, which will be linked down below. I also wanted to say that last episode, I had talked about the possibility of doing Vlogmas. I can tell you already, it's not gonna happen. I'm sorry. I don't have an exciting life. I tried to start and I just, I don't do a lot outside of the house or anything really fun and Christmassy. I guess in a couple weeks, I'm going to be going to visit family and I'll be doing a little bit more Christmassy stuff, but it's 5 days in and I haven't picked up the camera to show much of anything. So I think if there's anything super exciting, I'll maybe make a short about it or something like that. But I am still showing my Christmas projects on Instagram in my stories and kind of little snippets in that way. So if you are interested in that sort of stuff, you can check out my Instagram. But I'm sorry, Vlogmas isn't going to happen. But I will be filming a video of my craft room. I'm going to do an updated craft room tour to go up 2 weeks from now. That will be kind of my I'm on vacation pre-recorded video. So if you've been interested in seeing my updated craft room, that I promise will be coming in 2 weeks. So let's start with what I'm wearing. I don't know if I've worn, it's totally on backwards. I'm gonna flip this around. That's embarrassing. It was totally backwards. I think on sweaters like this or garments like this where there's like no real set front and back, like the front is a little bit lower because there's short rows in the back, but I gotta put some sort of little tag on them or something because I didn't know when I put it on and then I moved my hair out of the way and I could totally tell that it was not fitting correctly. Anyways, this is my Searchlight Raglan. This is a pattern from Autumn and Indigo. There's nothing fancy on the bottom, so I'm not going to stand up, but it's just a really simple raglan sweater with cable details on the raglan. This yarn is from Explore Knits and Fibers in, I believe it's called Dreamsicle. This was from like their summer collection of sorts. But yeah, it's a really fun sweater. Everyone was so scared about the color when I was knitting it, but something about it, I really like how it looks on me. So wonderful, fun sweater to wear. Obviously, now that it's cold out, I'll just get myself slid forward again. But yeah, I really love this sweater. I did test knit it. The pattern is live now. It's been live for a little while, but a really good, simple raglan sweater. A good starting sweater, honestly. Because it's got a little bit of detail, so it's not just like a boring, well, boring is a bad way to say it, but a very simple stockinette raglan. But yeah, I really, really like the fit of it. I won't ramble on about that too much though, because I've shown this on previous episodes, but that's what I'm wearing today. So I do have a whole bunch of finished socks to show you. 2 pairs I have here, 2 I have already gifted, but I do have a photo I can pop on the screen, so you'll still be able to see them. So yeah, let's jump into those. The first pair I have to show you, I had cast on last episode. I finished them up. These are my Boreal slippers. This is a pattern from Lindsey Fowler. And as you can see, the toes are a different color. Reason being, I was like so close to finishing them. I had probably about 6 rounds left on the toe of the final sock and I ran out of yarn. I did not win Yarn Chicken this time, but I had some of this yarn lying around. The toe color here, this is linen from my shop on the Birch DK base. So I just used that for the toes on these socks and then used, obviously, Strawberry Blonde Magnolia, which is also from the shop, Birch DK for the rest of the socks. So super sweet. I keep calling them a sock. They're meant to be a slipper, so they're like a little bit less fitted than a normal sock would be. They're a 54 stitch slipper because they're knit out of DK. And then they have this really cool feature where the cuff rolls down. So I guess technically they could be worn like this with the leg like all the way up, but I really like how they look with the cuff rolled down, and it just makes them super cozy around the ankles. And they have a really, really simple wrapped stitch detail. So these are finished. They're going to go into like my box of Christmas presents I have started, because these are a gift for my mother-in-law, who I know does not watch, so I can say that. But glad these are done. And then I did finish another pair of Christmas gift socks. I have no idea what this yarn is. I talked about it last episode, but my grandma last Christmas gave me a ball of yarn that had no ball band and told me that she had tried to learn how to knit socks and just couldn't figure it out, and said she would rather I get some use out of the yarn. So I told her, well, I could knit you a pair of socks if you'd like. And so a year later, I have done that. These are the Homebody socks. It's a pattern by this Handmade Life. I did a 64 stitch sock. And yeah, I don't know the yarn. I guarantee you it's a commercial yarn. My grandma would not spend tons of money on yarn. I also say that because I had, I think, about 4 knots, unfortunately, in this ball of yarn. So the striping, even if I tried to match it up, it wouldn't have. I used mostly the whole ball of yarn. I think I weighed it and there's about 75 grams of yarn. So I don't know if she like just cut some off and threw it away or what happened there, but I used mostly all of those 75 grams. So they have a really cool heel, and I can't remember what it's called, but the heel is included in the pattern. And this Handmade Life, their sock patterns are very reasonably priced. They're only $3 US. So if you're interested in a heel like this, it's not a heel flap and gusset. You turn the heel, but there's no like picking up stitches on the side of the flap or anything. So that was really, really nice. And I'm curious to see what she thinks of the fit of them. So what else is going on with these? 64 stitches. There's no like real ribbing for the cuff because the whole sock is basically ribbed in, I think this is called a fisherman's rib. But yeah, glad to have these done as well. They were a really fun knit. A good, simple, no thinking knit. The yarn though, I definitely would say is quite splitty. I did have an issue with it. There's some stitches in here where I noticed too late that I had split, and it was like so far down the sock that it was too late for me to go and pick up. Yeah, there's one right there. But it wasn't any like splits that were so intense that there was barely, like they were hanging on by a thread, the stitch, so I just left them. But yeah, I would tell you not to purchase that yarn, but I don't know what it is. I'm gonna say my grandma probably got it at Michael's, but that is all I know. Anyways, the other 2 finished objects that I have, I will pop a picture on the screen here beside me. These are the Perfect Newborn Socks. It's a pattern by Tabitha Gandee. I do believe it's a free pattern, but this is what I use to knit up all my itty bitty baby socks when I have friends who are having babies. So I did knit 2 pairs of socks for a friend to gift with her shower gift, and I knit them out of, the lighter one is Fiber for the People on their Loft base, I believe, yes, in the color Seagrass, and then the other one is out of Autumn and Indigo Classic Sock in a one-of-a-kind colorway. I pulled both of those out of my scrap stash, and actually if you watched last week's or 2 weeks ago's episode, I had finished up what was it called? A agate beach hat pattern from Lindsey Fowler, and both of the colors that I used in these socks I did use in that hat as well, so they're kind of a matching set. So yeah, that is what I have finished in the past couple weeks, but I have a whole bunch. Are they all? They might all be new cast-ons. One is not. I have 1, 2, 5 projects to show you, and all of them but one are a new cast on. I also have a really cool new knitting tool I thought I would show you as well that I purchased over Black Friday and I'm really excited to put some use into. But let's jump into works in progress. So the first project that I cast on is in the bag I use every year for my Cozy Knitter 24 stripe Advent socks. If for some reason you haven't started yours yet and you don't want to see, I'll try and remember to tell you when I'm not going to show them anymore on the screen so that you cannot look. But I have cast on those socks. So I am knitting both socks in tandem. Basically that means I have 2 different needles going, but I'm knitting both socks at the same time. Or is that considered concurrently? So I am all the way up to day 5. I'm caught up to today. I'll just hold the one up. So the cuff here, I just pulled some undyed yarn from my stash of undyed yarn because I dye yarn obviously, and use that for the cuff. I will also use that for the heel and the toe on these socks. I think the past couple years I've done this every year. It's been going on for 5 years. This is the 5th year and I've done this every year. So now I really can't stop the tradition. But I think the past 2 years I hadn't done a contrasting color for the heels, toes, cuffs. But this year I decided I wanted to do that again. So yeah, I cast them on. These are, I believe, 60 stitches. And I don't know if I've talked about this. Oh, I know I've talked about it. Anyways, but I've started realizing how loosely I've knit. So I don't usually talk about needle size anymore, but I did drop down now to a 2mm needle, which I think is a US 0. Yes, for all my socks. So I am knitting these on that needle. And I just find it gives a much better gauge for a sock. My socks were just starting to get a little bit too loose for my liking. And then they're just going to wear that much faster and get holes in them that much faster. So I am working on these. They're a really fun project. I kind of start my day with them just because it's really not that much knitting. I think at the gauge I'm knitting at, it's about 5 rounds on each sock to get through that day's color. And then by the time Christmas hits, minus popping in a toe and a heel on both of those socks, which won't take long, I'll have a finished pair of socks. So loving these. I really like the tradition of these. It's really fun to see what she's done for the colors of the stripes every year and kind of read up. I think this year, if I remember, on the inside of the ball band, she puts like a little bit of a story of what her inspiration was for the stripes. And this year, I believe it was like children's toys and fun, whimsical Christmas. So yeah, I'm really excited to finish these. And then I always pack up all of my other year's worth of socks. So I'll be able to take a photo of all 5 of them together once I finish them. So something I'm very, very excited about is, I think I talked about this yarn last episode, that Hobbii was so kind to send to me, but I've cast on what is hopefully going to be my Christmas sweater. I want to wear this Christmas Eve. I feel like I've got quite a bit done. I'm at the point on the sweater where I'm increasing for the shoulders and I haven't split for the body yet, so the rows are really, really long, but in no time I'll have split for the sleeves and then the rows will be shorter again, and I feel like I'll be able to fly a little bit more. This project bag is from Brooklyn Haberdashery, and like I said, I'm using Hobbii yarn. I have 2 bases I'm holding double, and I have exciting news. Last episode I had said I was going to be brave and try and use a kid silk mohair. I thought I was allergic. I don't think I am, because I'm knitting this and I'm totally fine, which means last year when I was knitting with the kid silk and I thought I was sick, or I thought I was having allergies, I was sick, which is really embarrassing. But yeah, I don't think I'm allergic because I've been totally fine this time around. It hasn't been bothering me in the slightest. I haven't been sneezy. I haven't been itchy. I don't know if I was itchy last time. I was definitely sneezy and like runny nose, runny eyes, like gross. Have not been so this time. So that's really exciting. But I'm holding double these 2 yarns here. They're both from their Friends line, the Kid Silk and the Extra Fine Merino. These are both in the color light gray, which is 117. And I'm knitting the Cargill sweater, which is like the most beautiful sweater I've ever seen. I have not knit something this complex before for a sweater. Every other sweater I've knit has been like pretty simple, straightforward stockinette with like maybe some color work or something. But look at this. Look at the dip stitches. I gotta figure out how to, it's kind of smooshed on the needles right now because like I said, I'm increasing stitches for the shoulders, but you can still see what's going on. It's just stunning. I am so excited. I'm having so much fun knitting it too. It's been really, really fun. Very easy to follow the pattern. I was able to meet gauge quite easily as well, now that I've kind of figured out where I sit for like, okay, if gauge is 16 stitches, I'll need to use this needle. Does that make sense? I've kind of figured out my stride for whereabouts I should be for each gauge. So I was able to find gauge quickly and get started on this. I think I would like, just because this neck seems so large, I think I would like to pick up and knit the neck or the collar on this shortly, just so I kind of have an idea what's going on when I try it on as well. So probably after I split for the sleeves and I've joined the body together, I will quickly knit the collar on this and then keep going. But I'm just so excited. It's like the softest, most wonderful, I don't even know. It feels like Christmas to me. So I am really, really excited to be going quite smoothly on this knit. I do have stitch stoppers on here. I can't remember where I got these guys from, but they're really cute. They look like confetti. I hope that's focusing because I can't see. Here we go. Those look like confetti. Still not focusing. There we go. And then I am also using this stitch marker here. This is from Hello Lavender. This is part of the, I haven't put the rain cloud itself on there yet. And then I'm using my row counter from Twice Sheared Sheep as well. And I really enjoy using the row counter. It just makes my life easier. Instead of having to use a row counter on my phone, where I always have to have my phone open and I'm switching between apps and clicking things and accidentally clicking things, it's nice to just use the row counter and do it that way. So I think I am almost done increasing for the sleeves. I think I have, let's see, I have 2 more full pattern repeats left, and then I'll be able to split for the body. So very excited to do that. And I'm really, really enjoying this project. I'm knitting, I don't know if I said, the size 4. Something else fun and adventy I have cast on is my project that I'm using my mini skein advent calendar for. I purchased the mini skein advent calendar from Stress Knits Yarn. What was it called? Planty Holiday. So it's all like themed after plants, flowers, terracotta pots, like all that sort of stuff. So I have cast on a shawl to knit with my advent calendar. I was really excited to see that Lindsey of Larkspur Knits was coming out with an advent pattern again this year. She had skipped last year because she was working on her book, but the year before she had made the Luminaria shawl, which is like the most beautiful plaid shawl ever. And I'm gonna write down on here right now while I'm thinking about it to either put a picture on this episode or link it down below at least. But it is one of my favorite patterns ever. I knit it twice, which says a lot. I don't knit things twice very often. But what I've cast on now, and this name is going to catch me, Anesidora, it'll be on the screen, Anesidora shawl by Larkspur Knits, Lindsey Fowler. And what really drew me in about this shawl is that there are 0 ends to weave in. It has tassels. So I have I'm tying my tassels off as I go, and that's my ends. So that is where I am. It looks real tiny. I'm definitely going to be able to use like all of the advent colors a couple times for sure, which I like because then they'll kind of stripe throughout the whole shawl. But I am using just another skein of undyed yarn to hold in between all the colors, just to kind of give it a bit of separation. I have a hard time with really, really scrappy stuff. I I want there to be some sort of order. So that's why I'm holding the undyed in between each stripe. There's options within the pattern too, like a fully scrappy version, a version like I'm doing, or like a half and half where it's like, how do I put it? It's real scrappy on the one side and then it looks more like this on the other side. So I really love that the pattern has those options as well. But yeah, I have a stitch marker on here, but I'm going to make sure I pull one of my Christmassy ones to put on this before I leave the craft room, so that it has a festive stitch marker. But yeah, no ends to weave in. I'm just, as you can see here, knotting off the tassels after every repeat, and then I'll trim them all up and get them all neat and tidy when I'm done, and it's done. I can block it and it's done, which I'm so excited about. I don't know why more shawls don't have tassels. As I open each day of my advent, I'm adding it into the shawl, and it's been really fun. I definitely, like I said, I'll be able to use each color more than once, so by the time I've opened all my advent skeins, I'll still have some more knitting after Christmas to finish the shawl, but I'm okay with that. It's been really fun. It's a relatively easy to memorize pattern, and I think it's really pretty, so yeah, really enjoying that. 2 more projects and my new cool knitting tool to go through. This is definitely going to be a wee bit longer of an episode, but that's okay, since I won't be having like a sit down project episode for like a month after this one, so that's fine by me. I hope you're okay with it as well. I cast on another sweater because that's what I do apparently, and apparently I'm going for like the lighter colored sweaters this time around. I am testing a pattern for Ozetta. It's called the Port Sweater. Now this looks ridiculous right now because it's a sweater where you cast on the back and then you cast on like the front portions and work them down. So this is the front left of the sweater, and then here is the back of it. And yeah, I'm just testing this, so I don't have tons to say, and I don't want to give anything away, obviously, but the shoulder is going, and it's knitting up really fast because it's like a worsted weight sweater. So what I'm using for it, I'm using Wooldreamers Mota. This is just in the Blanco color, so they're undyed, and I'm holding it double. Now this is a fun one. I dyed up Sugarplum Fairy. I have a skein of it here, one sec. So I dyed up Sugarplum Fairy, this is one of my Christmas colorways, by the way, if you haven't seen it. I dyed it up on Suri, and I've learned a lesson about pastel dyeing of yarn, I guess. Well, actually, I think I've learned two lessons. First of all, Suri doesn't take up the pastel the same way that like an 80-20 fingering does. So it's really hard to see it on there once you've wound the skein up. Like, I'm sure you can barely tell that those colors are on there. So I think if I was to dye it again, I would adjust my dye stock a little bit. But also, I should have known this, color theory. You put something purpley or bluey or pinky over top of something yellowy, and you're not going to see it because the colors are going to cancel each other out. So you really don't see the pastel kind of fading throughout the garment. You just see a slightly less yellow garment. So it is what it is. I really like the color still, and I love the halo and the texture that the Suri alpaca is giving. So that's my own fault. I've learned a lesson. I still like how it looks, so it's not the end of the world, but lesson for you as well. I think with the way I have the Suri dyed with the lighter wash of color, I think if I put it over something darker, like a really dark gray or black, you'd really be able to see those pastel colors going throughout. But I think it's just because I picked a really light color, and then you have color theory coming into the mix, and the purple and the yellow are canceling each other, and yeah. So it's gonna be a white sweater, but that's okay. I think it'll be really cute. It's supposed to be big and cozy. It's got like a mock turtleneck. Now, I don't like turtlenecks, but this one, it sits out further, so I don't think it'll bug me as much. But if it does, after I take my finished object photos, I'll just shorten the neckline in. But I was gonna say Bob's your uncle, but I don't think I've ever used that phrase in my life, and I don't know where it came from. But yeah, if I don't like the neckline, I'll take the photos I need to promote the pattern for Ozetta once it's released, and then I'll change the neckline. Easy fix. So this project here, you did see last episode. This is my Harlow hat number 2. I am knitting this out of 2 different colorways of fingering weight yarn. This one here is Rouge. Oop, keep my face covered. Rouge from my shop on the Birch sock base, which is an 80/20 superwash merino. And then this one here is from someone who unfortunately no longer dyes yarn, Peepaloo Fields. The colorway is Brownie. And I am, like I said, knitting a Harlow hat. And since last episode, since I used a progress keeper, I've actually done quite a bit. Where that little sheep is where I was last episode. So I'm just knitting away. I'm done with, so you start with a smaller needle on the brim and then move to a bigger one. So I'm done with my smaller needle now, and I've moved on to my larger one. And I'm just gonna keep knitting. I'm gonna knit until the hat measures about 9.5 inches, and then I'll do all of the crown decreases. I also, one complaint I have, and it has to do, I think, with my gauge, is what I've read just like looking through other people's comments. My hat tilts. My other one did as well, and I was able to fix it when I blocked it, and you can't even tell that there's a tilt at all anymore, but it kind of drives me bonkers looking at it when I'm knitting it. So there is a teensy tiny bit of a tilt, but otherwise going good. This progress keeper here, this is from Denim and Rain. I talked about her last episode, but I will have it linked down below again. And yeah, nothing crazy. It's brioche knitting. If you're curious to watch me knitting brioche, I did just post, well, it's today because I'm recording today and I put it up today, but this YouTube episode goes up tomorrow. So yesterday I did put up a reel on Instagram of me knitting brioche. So if that's something you're interested in watching, check that out. But yeah, that is all I have for knitting. I'm grabbing this with my toe because I'm cool that way. But I do want to show you, I think some other people on Instagram and stuff have been talking about this, but I have a long drive ahead of me home for Christmas, and it gets dark so early that I wanted one of these super snazzy neck lights. I hope me turning this on isn't gonna, yeah. So I purchased one of these neck lights on Amazon. I can link this one down below if you want. I haven't used it tons, but when I have used it, it's worked really, really well. Because I used to just use like a book light, or I have this real nerdy headlamp that I would use as well. It has magnifiers on it, and I've used it occasionally when I cross stitch, but it leaves a dent and it kind of hurts my head after a while, where this isn't heavy and it isn't any weight on my neck at all. It's also rechargeable, which I like, so I don't have to worry about batteries. I can just plug it into a wall when it dies, so that's great. Yeah, I'm excited to give this a try while we're driving home for Christmas, because like I said, it gets dark so early, obviously, and so then I'll be able to get some more knitting time while I'm not the one driving. So I can link this down below if you want. I'm definitely a fan of it so far, so we'll see what it does for me on the trip. But yeah, that's what I've been working on. Like I said, I'm not gonna have like a formal sit down episode for the next month, so if you're interested in seeing what I'm working on, definitely check out my Instagram, because I will still be keeping up with posting on there. I just don't like recording a video around family, first of all, when I'm trying to spend time with family, but second of all, it's just weird. I can barely film with my husband home either, so to do it around the rest of my family, it ain't gonna happen. So, like I said, in 2 weeks, there will be a craft room tour going up. I'm almost done cleaning the room, and then I'll just have to take probably, oh gosh, an hour or two to record a tour around the room, because a lot has changed since the last one I put up, which I don't even know how long it's been since then, probably a couple years. So I'm excited to be able to give you a tour of the room and kind of see how I organize stuff. Yeah, I have some drawers that have kind of moved around, so I need to relabel them, because I label everything with a label maker if I can. And then yeah, otherwise just like a couple random things that have to be put away and it's ready to go and it's ready to be filmed. And then I figure it's something that I can also do on the drive, is edit the video while we're driving. So if I don't get it done beforehand, I guess if I film it this week, I probably can get it edited before we go. I don't know. That's a ramble for just myself. But anyways, yeah, I guess I'll say I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas, a wonderful holiday. I do really, really appreciate you, and I can't believe so many of you come and watch my episodes every couple weeks. So I'm so thankful, and I really do hope that you have a lovely time off of work spent with family and loved ones and lots of food and lots of knitting time, but yeah, I won't keep you much longer because this one's quite a bit longer than I'm used to. If you liked what you saw today, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. You can also turn on notifications so you'll know every time I upload a new video, and I will see you all in the new year. Bye.